What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files Reacts, where we talk about movies, shows, and video games. Sorry we haven't uploaded in so long. We've primarily been focusing on our main channel, but would like to start doing more videos over here as well. As you know, I'm Spencer, one of the hosts of the Fantasy Files podcast, and today I'm joined by Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. We do have an episode on our main channel if you'd like to get to know him and see what he's all about. And I'll link that below in the description. He reviews books, movies, and TV shows, and a whole bunch of other topics on his channel. And if you like our content, you will undoubtedly enjoy his even more. But today we are getting right to the point. We are chatting about the first two episodes of The Last of Us, HBO's adaptation of Naughty Dog's pretty much unanimously beloved game that was originally released on the PS3. Before we get started, remember to hip thrust those like and subscribe buttons. And if you want to see more of us, check out our main channel, Twitter and Discord, linked down below in the description. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. I'm going to give a spoiler warning here. Mike, so you have not finished the second game, right?
I don't care to, but we're
Okay.
not here to talk about that.
No, yeah, I just want to make sure, like, if we get talking, do you mind if I spoil it?
I know everything.
Okay.
A good friend of mine told me everything. He was like, "Dude, you might want to cancel your pre-order," because I'd already told him like, if this happens, I have no interest in playing the game. He's like, "Yeah, everything just leaked. You might want to cancel your pre-order," and he pretty much
Oh,
told me everything. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad I didn't play that because that would have just made me flip tables." So I know a lot of people are like, "Just play it." No
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, no, I get it. So for our viewers, basically we're gonna spoil everything from the games, everything from first two episodes. So we'll be spoiling those. So just beware as you go forward. So let's talk real quick. What's your kind of experience with the first game then? Is that a beloved game for you?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Now, look, I'm not an expert on this. Like, I played the game twice. I played it through twice. I love it to
Same.
death, but I've already had people kind of like fact checking me when I talk about it on Twitter. And I'm like, look, I played the game. I know a little bit. If you majored in it, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I will defer to you. But I mean, I think I know the story well enough. But
Yeah.
yeah, I played it when it first came out, on PlayStation 3. And honestly, here's the thing: is when I first played that first time, I think it's just because I was so wrapped up in what Naughty Dog had done with Uncharted.
Yeah.
It wasn't clicking for me at first, and I wasn't really
Same.
liking it that much because you do have the lull, you have the really crazy beginning of the game, and then you kinda have, like, a lull for, like, an hour, hour and a half before it really takes off,
Yeah.
and I don't know, something just wasn't at the right time. I think it was like I was a new dad, and I was just tired,
Yeah.
And so I put it down, but then when I got a PS4, they had released the remastered version, and then I played the whole thing through in, like, 2 nights.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, I played it again last year all the way through, and, yeah, it's a game I love to death. I don't know what was wrong with me back in 2013. I think I just like I said, I just wanted more Uncharted, I think, at the time, so, I wasn't
Yeah.
really used to a game like this where you're basically just playing a movie, for the
Mhm.
most part. I mean, it can feel like
Yeah.
that sometimes. You're playing a movie, and I wanted a
Yeah.
little more, the stuff like in Uncharted where you're jumping off rooftops and stuff, I wanted some stuff like that, so I think it was just a different expectations, I think, but that's about the second time I played it, and yeah, now it's probably a top 10, top 20 game all time for me now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're in good company. I had the same experience. I tried it once. It didn't quite click, and then I tried it like a year later or something. And really loved it. And you don't need to worry about me fact checking you because I like starting this show, I've realized how much of the game I've completely forgotten. And I was like, "Wait, what happens after this?" And, like, trying to remember, I'm like, "I don't know." So you'll probably remember more of the first game than I will.
I will admit, right before the show premiered, I did watch where someone on YouTube had cut together like a 5-hour movie version, and I did
Oh,
kind of like have that play off on the side while I was, working on some other stuff one day. So a couple things I've noticed, like dialogue that's exactly the same, and like the episode last night where Ellie says you can't deny that view. That's straight from the game, stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, there's a good refreshers out there if you don't have time to replay the game right now.
Yeah, I actually had to watch like, a recap today. It was like, I don't know, like a 10-minute recap or something. And yeah, God, it just reminded me how good that game is. Now I have to go back and replay it because I've been needing a new video game to go play. So I
Well,
might,
I wasn't gonna do it because I was like, all you're doing is putting unreal expectations on yourself that they're gonna adapt it. They're gonna do this one line wrong. You're gonna get all pissy about it. But I'm not really like that with adaptation. But
yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll talk about how pleased we are with the adaptation
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we go
for sure.
along here.
But yeah, for me, as I went into the second game, I feel like I had pretty medium expectations going into the second game, and I know a lot of people really don't like it, and I think that that is totally fair. I can definitely see some reasons in the game why people don't like it. But I really enjoyed the second game. I thought it was probably like the perfect idea to make you play as Ellie going into the second one. And I really enjoyed my time with that character. But yeah, I totally understand if, you know,
Well, to me, the heart and soul of that game was about the relationship between Joel and Ellie. And so
yeah,
you're gonna take half of that away. Why am I playing it anymore? I mean, I had
right,
no problem with playing like the new God of War. You get to play as Atreus.
right.
They didn't feel the need to kill Kratos.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I was. It's like I don't know. And then they make you play as the character that kills him. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the thing I hate most about the second game. I think that yeah, you know, now that you say it like that, the second game really does not have any sort of dynamic like Ellie had with Joel in the first game.
Mhm.
But what's interesting about the second game is it just shows you like uncut depravity. Like that game is so dark and it does not have a happy ending like at all. And so it was just kind of interesting as someone who really enjoys grimdark. It was really interesting to like finish the game and be like, oh, we don't get like a riding off into the sunset. Like we don't get like this happy thing. And I applaud them for that. I think that that's really bold and really creative to you know have the balls to do something like that.
I'm sure you're familiar with Jeremy Johns, right? I mean, like everyone in our profession. Jeremy Johns, a reviewer on
I don't
YouTube.
I don't know. Maybe
You probably
not.
have. You probably just don't recognize the name.
Sure.
But Jeremy Johns, me and him, I feel like we share a brain. So anything that like he goes with, usually I'm like, wow, I have the same damn opinion. It's like I uncanny, like we were separated at birth. So when
Yeah.
he reviewed Last of Us 2, I was like, okay, if he tells me it's still worth my time, I'll get over it and I'll just play it.
Yeah.
Basically, what he said was like, look, this is a beautiful game. It's absolutely stunning to look at. It's incredible. But he's like, but I felt like crap the whole time I played. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't fun. I wasn't having like any fun playing this game. And he's like,
Oh,
bad stuff happened in the first game, but I was still having fun. And he was like, this one,
yeah.
I just felt terrible the whole time I
Mhm.
played the game. I was like, well, that doesn't sound like anything I need in my life right now.
Yeah, it's definitely like, man, you have to be in a good place to give that game a try because it is dark, like super
I
dark.
said that about some books I've read. You better be in a good place when you're reading this because it might
Yeah.
put you in a depression.
Yeah, didn't you say that about the second era of Red Rising?
Yeah, definitely. That's very dark. And I think there's this
Yeah.
book that someone got me to read last year called "The Girl Next Door," which is like a true
Oh.
story about a girl who was like held prisoner in a basement and tortured for
Oh my
years.
god.
And I was
Jeez.
like, "Don't read this book if you're feeling down, man." Holy
Yeah.
hell! So yeah.
Yeah. All right, well let's move right along to talking about what what our overall thoughts of the show are. I have some notes here like the intro, that like opening sequence. What did you think of that?
So not the title sequence, but the actual like prologue, I guess you call it.
No, yeah, the title sequence with like
Oh, the title
the
sequence,
fungus.
neat, neat.
Yeah.
It feels like everything's trying to do something similar to that style right now. I mean, I guess it is, the cordyceps, the fungus, and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
cool. I did notice it kind of does look like the map of the North America, so that's pretty
Mhm.
neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think ever since like Daredevil, every show has an opening like this now. Yeah.
Yeah, or I was gonna say Game of Thrones. Like I feel like with them like panning over the map and kind of going everywhere. That's what
Yeah,
it made
Game of
me think
Thrones
of.
has got so good. Everyone's been trying to catch up since, and it's
Yeah.
like, how do we look like Game of Thrones, but not try to look like we're trying to look like Game of Thrones? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, what were your just kind of overall like foundational thoughts of these two episodes?
Well, everyone's gonna think I'm a big negative ninny here. Here's the deal:
That's fine.
is I feel like I'm a real Debbie Downer when it comes to adaptation. I feel like all they've done with adaptation is completely let me down.
Yep.
like the last 5 to 7 years. I'm like, look, I don't know if they change or if just I change. I
Right.
have no idea because I used to be anxious for adaptation. Now I'm like, oh, please no, don't make that. Please don't make that.
Yep.
Because I feel like I'm always disappointed. Again, like I said, I'm getting closer and closer to old man shakes fist at cloud age. So I don't know if it's me or not, but a lot of people are like, no, they're doing it very, very bad.
Yeah.
House of Dragon got me very optimistic.
Yep.
Like, see, there are people out there who still want to be faithful. And so this was HBO, and I was like, look, HBO, they usually put out a quality product. I may
Yeah.
not like the direction they go in, but they're going to put out a quality product. I believe in that. So I thought that the show would be good. I did not expect it to be this faithful. And
Yeah.
that's completely blown me away. What I said by like my pie in the sky for the show was stay true to the story. You don't have to be beat for beat or page for page, but
Right.
stay true to the main events of that story and expand on it, add things to it, not necessarily characters, but like they're doing with like the cold open where they just showed Jakarta and all that stuff. That was awesome. I want
Yeah.
to see more of that stuff. That's excellent. It just kind of builds that world. So I think they've actually exceeded my expectation in every way because even like the one big change that they've made with like the whole hive mind thing,
Yeah.
I was actually good with it when you got the after the episode, you get them
Yeah.
explaining why they did. I was like, that actually makes a lot more sense than hey, there just happens to be 75 runners out here right when
Right.
you shot your gun.
Yep.
I thought that actually made a lot of sense. So I'm pleasantly surprised 2 episodes in. I'm still scared it's not going to stay that way.
Mhm.
But I thought they would get the prologue like pretty spot on, and they
Yeah.
did. I mean, except for the planes, it was basically like shot for shot almost. It was really,
Yeah.
really great. But I would be stunned if they stay this faithful the whole way. But I mean, as long as we're in game number one, I hope that they do. Now,
Yeah.
game number two, they can change shit all over the place. I mean, but yeah, I'm very happy with it. Very happy.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same as you. I'm kind of known on Twitter as like the person who has just been like hating on some of these most recent adaptations. And people say, I've gotten comments like, well, it doesn't need to be like page for
No,
page or
it doesn't.
shot for shot and stuff, and or like they can't do it page for page or shot for shot. It's like, I beg to differ because most of this show, from what we've seen so far, obviously it's not shot for shot, but it's very
Yeah, it doesn't
close.
have to be
Like,
shot for shot, but at
yeah,
least feel like the same thing.
yeah, I feel like all of the like major events that happen in the game have happened so far in the show. There was that change with like the hive mind thing and Tess's death. Because I think in the game they were fighting
Yeah, Fedra actually
humans.
takes out Tess, but
Fedra,
they're getting chased by Fedra. But this
yeah,
was way cooler. I mean, and
yeah.
she got to make out with the cordyceps. That's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was.
You know what? As someone who loved Fringe, it was cool seeing Anna Torv for a whole 2 episodes again. So
Oh, is that what she's from?
yeah, Fringe.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
hadn't
nice.
seen her since.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she was a great Tess. I thought she did really, really great as Tess.
Yeah, yeah, she did fantastic. That leads us into talking about some of these characters and the actors that play them. What do you think about some of the casting for this show?
I mean, it's not the roles, it's not the actors I would have went with. If I'm
Yeah.
being honest, I think that Pedro Pascal's great. I love him. I've been watching Pedro Pascal since he played a random vampire on an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I've been here for Pedro Pascal. That's fine. I do wish he could grow that big epic Joel beard because his beard's about as good as mine sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that one. And Bella Ramsey, I think she's an awesome actress. She was great on Game of Thrones, obviously.
Oh.
But yeah, she was the little bear Mormont, and I loved her on there, and I think she's a great actress. I just here's where I'm nitpicking.
Hmm.
Just she looks nothing like Ellie, like at
Yeah.
all. And I know that we can't expect it to be exactly like it's ripped from the. But it's just like they're going this faithful with it. I thought maybe they would actually try, and I think she.
Yeah.
I like her snark. I feel like she's getting the mannerisms and things like that Ellie would have. I do feel like she might be just a touch aggressive right now.
Hmm.
But we know what happens with Ellie along the way, so I think that they're just kind of leaning into that a little harder from go
Right.
with this. But there could be worse things. I mean, look for example, Marlene on the show. That's the same person that did the mocap and the voice from the game. That they just got her to play that part on the show. That's
Oh.
amazing fan service.
Yeah, that's
That's
cool.
incredible. So I mean, they care. They actually
Yeah.
give a damn, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with the casting, or at least I was earlier. Definitely with Ellie, I just kind of don't think that that's the right actress for the role. I think that I was concerned about it from the beginning. As soon as we got that first reveal, like, this is our Ellie, I was like, oh, this is going to be crap. Like, this is not going to be a good show. And, that was one of the big things where I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a good adaptation. And I kind of stayed that way for a while. But, I think she did okay. There was definitely a few scenes that kind of made me smile and made me think like, okay, that reminds me of Ellie from the game. But yeah, I just think it's a weird choice when there's so many other young actresses who could look so much more like Ellie. And it was just a weird choice. But Pedro Pascal, he was another one that I was really nervous about when they first showed him because I only know him from The Mandalorian. When I was initially seeing, like headshots of him and stuff, I was like, he does not look like Joel. And just having seen him in The Mandalorian, I'm like, I would he be a good Joel? Like, I don't know. And so I kind of went back and forth on it. But literally from like the first scene in this show, I was like, "Oh, he's Joel." Like
Yeah.
he's doing like a really good job as Joel, and especially in the flashback. When I watched the recap today, I was like, "Oh, he looks like actually really faithful to Joel." And later on, when he's older Joel, it looks a little bit different. But I really think he's nailing it. I think he's nailing the kind of curmudgeony, like cynical, guy who is just like against everybody kind of thing. I really think he's doing a fantastic job.
He's good at that lackadaisical kind of thing where it's like,
Hmm.
what do I do? I'm sure you will figure that out. That's
Yeah,
very Joel. I
yeah.
like that. That's very Texas. So I was
Right.
good with it. I was good.
Yeah.
I wasn't really worried about him. I'm just saying it probably wasn't who I would have picked, but it might
Right.
be because I do know him from Mando. I do know him from Narcos. And I'm just kind of expecting that. But I know the guy's he's a good actor, so I wasn't really worried about it. He was obviously another one that was great on Game of Thrones. So
Was he
he's a
on
good
Game of
actor.
Thrones?
Yeah, he was the Red Viper. Yeah, one of the guys'
Okay.
eyes crushed out. Yeah.
I made it to season 3, I think, beginning of season 3.
Mm.
So I don't
Well,
know if
sorry about that.
no, it's fine. I don't know if I've seen him or Bella Ramsey in the show.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah. It's
maybe.
later. It's later than
Okay.
that.
But yeah, overall, I really like them. I really liked Tess as well. I didn't know her from anything, but I thought she did a really good job. Marlene did a really good job. I'm kind of hopeful that Bella will kind of grow into this role and she'll become more like the Ellie I know.
Mm,
But really, like sincerely, that is my only gripe with the
same.
show so far is that
If my only gripe is she doesn't look like the girl on the cover of the video game, I think I'll be okay with that. Yeah.
right, yeah, exactly.
I'll take him getting nailing the character over, the appearance, I think for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think of the overall set dressing and kind of like the cordyceps or the
Oh man.
clickers, just kind of the world? What do you think of that?
I last night I was like geeking out like just a fanboy with the
Yeah.
clickers because I was just we live in a world now where everything is MCU CGI all over. The whole screen's got to be everything's gonna be CGI. Now they're using like backdrops. A lot of that is clearly a green screen. That's fine.
Right.
But like the clickers being all practical makeup, I was like,
Hmm.
oh my god, thank God, because if those were just CGI, I was never going to take them seriously. And I mean, there
Yeah.
was a part where if you have surround sound, if you're watching with surround sound, and Joel and Ellie are like sitting behind that glass case, and you hear like a click. It came from like behind us in the living room. We were like, "Oh shit!" And it
Hmm.
made you feel like the game. Like you
Yeah.
don't know where they are. You can just hear that clicking sound, and it actually freaks you out. And then when you actually see them, I think they didn't just nail it. They crushed the clickers. It was amazing. That's why after the episode, that was the first thing they talked about,
Yeah.
and that's the makeup artist from Chernobyl, which I haven't watched, but
Mm.
also the guy that did the makeup for Vecna on Stranger Things, the most recent season of Stranger Things. So
Okay.
practical. I'm an old school '80s guy, so you're using practical makeup and practical props. I'm so on board for that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I will always fight for practical makeup and stuff like that over CGI. I think they did a fantastic job with the cordyceps and the clickers.
Yeah, the growth in the museum looked really, really cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah, when they come in and is that you talking about when the guy's like plastered against the
Yeah,
wall or
all that
whatever?
stuff. And like just the stuff all over the floor, all over the stairs. Just they had something similar to that in this most recent season of Stranger Things, and it was CGI, so it didn't look that
Oh, okay.
impressive. But this looked like wow, that looks real. I know that CGI is more convenient and quicker, but it's like, look how much more lasting of a impression you'll make with
Yeah.
people if you just take the time to do this. And
Yeah.
HBO is just really good at that.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I really like what they did with them. The only I guess critique I would have is in the game. I felt like they had more like on their like body, and
Mm.
you know what I mean, like more like growth and stuff on their
Yeah.
body, but maybe that was like later in the game or
I think maybe
something.
we'll see like more evolved versions of it. You do hear
Yeah.
Ellie asking, like, is it true they can like, get like huge and throw like spore bombs at you? I'm like, yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, and I I love that part too because Joel and Tess were like, "No, God, I hope not." And
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, because they haven't seen it yet."
Just wait
So
till you see a bloater. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that'll be really cool. But what I really wanted to touch on was the just the overall world around them. I feel like it would have been really easy for the showrunners to just make this look like every other apocalypse
Yeah.
movie, you know? But and I don't know like if you were to ask me what the fine details are, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but somehow like every scene looks like The Last of Us. Like it
Mm.
looks like the game. It doesn't look like just some generic apocalypse where it looks like somewhere you'd be walking through in the game, and I think that that is so impressive because you can tell that they studied like scenes from the game and made it the same like color palette and everything.
This definitely seems like that moment. I remember back when Batman Begins came out, and I was blown away by Batman Begins, and I was like, see, if you take comic book stuff seriously and don't think you got to have, George Clooney making credit card jokes in the middle of it, and you take it seriously, it's really good stuff. And boom, right off that, then Iron Man comes out, and then superhero movies are like, good, finally.
Yeah.
I feel like this could be that moment with video games. We're like, look, if you take the material seriously, treat it with respect, don't feel like, oh, it's a video game. Ha ha. We got to make it super campy or stupid. And you can be
Yeah.
faithful to the game and it's actually quality stuff. This could be that moment. So
Right.
whoever's in charge of making Gears of War, pay attention because I would
Yeah.
love a faithful Gears of War adaptation. So there you go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I definitely
Yeah.
feel like that moment. They got people that are on board that made the game and they're listening to them. They're not like, get out of here. You don't know nothing about filmmaking. They're listening to them. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully this is a change for the better because there's a lot of video games I would love to see a movie of. Dude, could you imagine like a BioShock movie? Oh my God, that'd be incredible.
Or Mass Effect.
Or
Yeah.
Mass Effect, yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, I feel like obviously something like Gears of War is ripe to have an adaptation made of it. And so if they can just really nail this and show the world that it can be done, man, I think it'll open so many doors because like you were talking about earlier, I'm at the point where I'm like, please do not make like a Dresden Files adaptation,
Mm.
because it's like it scares me. But hopefully they keep on with this quality. Let's talk about episode 1. Do you have any general thoughts about this first episode, just kind of as a whole?
I love that Sarah was wearing the same T-shirt that she wore in the game.
Oh
That was
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
that's
giving
cool.
Sarah like a little because I think the way they set it up is if you didn't watch the trailer, you'd be fooled. Because the thing that fooled me with the game when I played the game the first time was when Joel's daughter dies. I
Hmm.
was shocked because I thought that was the girl on the front cover of the game,
Right.
so that shocked the hell out of me because I wasn't paying that close of attention. You
Yeah.
watch the trailer for this, it's not the same daughter.
Right.
Oh, but the way they set it up, if you didn't watch the trailer, you watched it for the first time, it looks like they're setting this up to be Sarah is going to be the protagonist of the show. And then when that
Yeah.
happens, like, oh shit. So I thought they captured everything just great. I mean, that they had to get that prologue perfect because I think that's what everybody remembers about that game is the
Yeah.
prologue. And yeah, it was like damn near shot for shot. I even thought Tommy was good, by the way. Tommy was
Oh
real
yeah.
good. Gabriel Luna. It's a Ghost Rider from Agents of Shield. Good for him.
Oh, okay.
He had a glow up. Good for him. So,
Yeah, I couldn't remember enough of him from the games if he looks similar, but I thought he did a great job just like as an actor. I thought he did
yeah.
a really good job. And I'm sure we'll see him later in the season because I know that
Yeah,
uh
they did a clip of this season on, and you did see him later on.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, he was good. I thought it was funny just as we go into the episode, there's like this Avril Lavigne song that's playing from her radio. And it's just like, oh yeah, this is like early
2002 or 3,
2000s.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I know exactly what song that is. That's so funny. But yeah, like you said, the beginning was pretty much shot for shot. I thought that, dude, when they're in the truck, and because that's like such an intense part of the prologue in the
And all you
game.
could do was look around, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, go back. No, go forward. Go back. Go forward." And oh man, it just builds up that intensity
Some
so
people put
much.
together on YouTube, they put together shot by shot. They put the show on one side and the game on the other and showing
Oh,
how similar it is. Yeah, it's really cool.
that'd be cool. I should check that out. Yeah, I really love that. And then he's in the field and she gets shot and you just oh, it's such a great moment. I love it so much. And then it immediately goes to I think it's 20 years later, or is it 30?
That's 2023. They're trying to stay current.
So yeah, him and Tess are trying to get this battery. I think in the original game it was drugs or
Guns.
a gun.
Just
Okay, yeah.
guns. Yeah, they're trying to get guns. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this whole kind of beginning of the present day period where he's doing deals with the officer and all this stuff. And I just love seeing Joel kind of in his element doing his sketchy dirty work.
Yeah, I like that because it didn't just make it some just faceless security guard that Joel actually, or they actually kill
Right. Yeah.
later. Maybe something that you'd actually seen earlier in the episode. And so, yeah, no,
Yeah,
good.
for sure.
Very well done.
Oh yeah, and we kind of get to see that him and Tess have more of a like real relationship in the show. I think that it was kind of hinted at in the game,
It
but
seemed to
not
me like both of us are broken inside, so we
right.
can't like get attached. But everybody's
Yeah,
got needs, so just bang a little bit sometimes.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
what I took it as.
Yeah. Another note I have here. I love seeing the Firefly logo
Oh,
spray
sure.
painted. And this kind of goes along with like the set dressing. Like that was a logo you would see all the time in the game, just like spray
Mhm.
painted on like random walls and stuff. And so to see it in live action, it's like, I don't know. It's just cool to see all this brought to life. Then there's this scene later where when Joel and Tess first meet Ellie, and they're in that hallway with Marlene and Kim, I think is their friend's name, and they're kind of going back and forth on like, you take Ellie and like we'll give you the truck or whatever. And I just have this funny quote. Kim like just got her ear blown off, but I don't think I saw that at first. And so Kim is trying to tell her like, I can take Ellie, I can do it. And Marlene says, Kim, you don't have a fucking ear on your fucking head. Could you please? And then she like turns her head and her whole side is bloody. And I just laughed out loud. I love
That and Joel actually like kicking the knife one more time.
it. Yeah.
It was like such a bully.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Good
was
stuff.
great.
So I think it's one of those things like, loving the characters already, because
Yeah.
we know these characters if we play the game. Loving the characters already, I think that's things that casuals were like, okay, I didn't get that out of it. Because I'll do
Right.
stuff like that with my wife who hadn't played the game, and she's just like, if you say so.
Yeah. Right.
I was like up there geeking out, and she's just like, all it was like one line. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, but it was a line from the game.
Right. Yeah. It makes it so much more special when you have that past with it. So Joel takes Ellie back to like his apartment type place. And he's like, we got to kill some time. And he's like laying back on the couch and she's all like pissed off and she doesn't like these people. And she walks by Joel and she's just like, your watch is
Mm,
broken.
mm.
And
Another
it's,
line right from the game, yeah.
uh,
And
oh,
I think they're doing a good job of showing that even though it's been 20 years, clearly he's not over it, still not over it. And I don't think
right.
that's anything. Obviously, losing a kid, I don't think anything you get over, but I think you learn to live with after a while. But I
Yeah.
don't think he's ever gotten to that point either. Because
Right. Yeah. I think that he's a lot more damaged than someone else in like a situation like that would be because he's just kind of taken it all the way. He's just kind of become all right. I'm gonna become the most like fucked up, dark
oh,
version of
sure,
myself that I can.
sure, like when they're burning the bodies, and one person's like, I can't do it with the kid, and he's like, whatever, he
Yeah.
just does it. Like, jeez, so yeah.
I know. I know. I saw that part. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where I was like, well, I don't have any worries about them, being brutal with this
right.
because a lot of things that you're like, I don't know how far they'll go with some of these things. But I think we
Yeah.
saw in House of Dragon, HBO's got no problems going too far.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna get dark. So what did you think about like the whole beginning, like the extra stuff we got, just like with his kid, like buying him the spring for his watch and all that stuff? Did you
Yeah,
kind
that's
of like
cool.
that extra stuff?
Sure. Yeah, I
Yep.
think that like I said, anything they want to expand on, like seeing more of the neighbors, the neighbors that actually do crash through that glass door in the game and try to kill them, instead it's out
Yeah.
the street this time, but getting to see that like more of that they were friends with these neighbors and stuff, I think it makes it more visceral. And later on, like when Joel's like, "You go in your house and don't come back out," and then after he, whacks someone with a wrench, you're like, "What the hell, Joel?"
Yeah.
Because they all know him. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
makes it more visceral, more real. I think that it's someone that they knew, and you
Yeah.
have to go that far.
Yeah, I like the stuff that they've added so far. I think that I don't mind stuff being added, like The Expanse did that a whole bunch.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as you're not like cutting away important sections of the original story to
Right.
put
If you're going to
your
add
thing
a
in.
character, that's fine, but you best not be taking away from my originals. Because, like
Right.
Wheel of Time, why are we adding characters and taking real characters away? But I'm not going to compare this to Wheel of Time. I'm just saying, it's
Sure.
like I'm always like, if you're going to add a character, you best not be taking any of them away.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly that was probably my biggest gripe with Wheel of Time was that exactly.
Well, we don't have long enough to talk about Wheel of Time.
I
So.
know, I know. I love that he uses this like it's like a number one greatest hits book to decipher what's being said on the radio. And if it's I forget what it was. If it was 60s, then it's drugs. If it's 70s, it's guns. And if it's 80s and he has it X'd out.
Mm,
And
bad
she's
news. Yeah.
yeah. And he's like taking a nap. And when he wakes up, she's like, a song was playing on the radio.
It's wham.
Yeah. He's like, what song was it? She's like, oh God, what was the
Wake me
song?
up before you go
Yeah,
go.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. And he's like, "Oh my God," she's like, "80s means trouble, code broken." And I just love that moment because like that's definitely something that
Oh,
Ellie
I'm
would
learning
do,
that with a kid. My kid's almost 11, and he's a lot sharper than I give him credit for, and he will just.
right?
I think they're showing that, but they also play into that later in the episode. If you know, the people are like, "Why?" My wife was like, "Why would they pick this weird random Depeche Mode song at the end of this?" I was like, "Cause it's an '80s song. That means
Mhm.
trouble." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh."
Yeah. Oh, dude,
So,
I love that so much. And the song with the lyrics were even like something about taking a ride with my
yeah,
best
never let
friend
me
or
go.
something.
Yeah. Mhm.
So what did you think? I've seen some stuff on the internet about people being upset with the reason why he killed this guard, because he kind of went into like this manic
Oh, you don't think he's got
flashback,
PTSD about that? I mean,
right? That's what I'm saying.
I was one of those things. I was like, wow, that's actually a great addition. I kind of like that. They just it just Tess takes one out and he takes one out in the game. It's not really that big after Ellie does stab him with a knife.
Right.
But again, I think like giving that guard a face for one thing was something, and then Joel. I don't know. Like I watched the after the episode, and the director was saying that like they made it look like, oh well, this is like Ellie activating her vicious side, and she saw somebody get killed, so now she's all excited. I was like, I didn't
Huh.
get that. What I got out of it was like she looked like no one's ever protected me like that before, and it's
Right.
strange since this guy looked like he didn't give a shit about me 3 seconds ago. So that's
Yeah.
what I took it as.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. I think that's spot on. Yeah. Man, I really didn't mind this. I don't know why there's some discourse about it on the internet, but
The biggest gripe I've seen is that her revealing that, her bite wasn't as, like, dramatic as it was in the game. I was like, "I don't see that." It was, like, almost the damn same. I don't see what they're talking about, so
okay, yeah, I've definitely seen that too. I've heard people complain about that, like, oh, well, it was like a little bit, it was like later in the game, and like it was more of like this kind of reveal thing. Because like I think in the game her sleeve gets like ripped off or something, and you
I'm
see
gonna tell
the bite.
people, it might be a while since you played it, go play it again. It's
Okay.
pretty spot on.
Oh, okay.
It really is. It just does develop a little slow. That scene lasts a little longer than it lasts on.
Right. Yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah, I had no problem with it, and I think especially for this first episode, they have to introduce like all these key components of the story, right? And I think if you had saved that for a later episode, then the hook wouldn't be there as quickly. You know what I mean? Like
After I watched these first 2 episodes, I do wish they had done the first 2 episodes that first night. I really do wish they had done that because I think it
oh
gave you so
yeah,
much more. Like, if you watch just someone watch it for the first time, if they watch these first 2 episodes, I think they'll be way more locked in than they were with just that first one.
oh
That's
for
just my
sure,
opinion. I think, and, I think another one of the complaints, and I complained about this too, but again, I thought they had a good argument for it about the lack of spores. Spores from the game because they didn't want them to wear the gas mask or something. But what they said in after the episodes, they're not using spores because spores wouldn't stay in an area like that. They would eventually spread around. So that's
right?
why they didn't use that. Uh, so I think that the episode 2 where they have her like actually get bit again by one of the clickers, and
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. I think that was kind of like a makeup for the fact that she was breathing in spores in the game. Joel's like, "How are you breathing this shit in?"
right.
So little changes like that. I think they're just kind of just swapping them around with other things.
Yeah, I did notice that they didn't have the gas mask, and near the end, I was kind of wondering. I'm like, like
Yeah, they
weren't
said they're
they?
not doing those.
Yeah, and like you said, in the after the episode thing, they kind of explained that there's all these like lines of fungus that go underground for
Yeah,
like
to
hundreds of
communicate. Yeah,
miles.
yeah, they did their homework. They
Yeah,
definitely did their homework for sure.
yeah, I think that's not a bad change at all because I don't know if I would want to watch an entire show of people just like wearing gas masks. Like
Yeah,
that would kind of get in the way of a lot of the dialogue and
yeah,
stuff.
for
And
sure. I get it. I really skipped ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, you're good. You're good. I'm just looking at the notes.
The cold open for episode 2 was awesome though. I love that with
Yes.
Jakarta because I want to say I don't remember if it was from the game or if it was from the first episode. I do remember hearing the word Jakarta, and I was like, I don't know what that is. My wife was like, it's capital of Indonesia. I was like, oh, geography.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what it was, but
Yeah.
that was really really cool. Basically showing like, dude, it 30 hours this person had been loose.
Yeah.
If there's been one international flight, we're screwed. And
Yeah.
she like bombed the place. That's just sinister, man. It was so good.
Yeah. I at first I was like, what are they doing here? Because I had obviously had no idea who this lady was. But then it's like, oh, she's a doctor or she studies she's a mycology professor, and they're bringing her in to like see what this whole spore thing is. And I thought that was interesting. It got me thinking because she's like, who bit this guy? Like who is the original? And they're like, we don't know. And I can't remember, do we ever get it explained how the whole thing started? Like where like who is the first one to
That's why I told my wife that I love this because I don't feel like we ever got this, at least not in the first game. We never got these explanations. So I think this is
Yeah.
awesome, awesome stuff. But yeah, as far as like Patient Zero, I have no idea.
Okay, yeah.
If we'll ever see that, honestly.
Yeah. I love this scene where they're standing there with Ellie. They're like, how did Marlene test you? And she's like she's like, they had me count to 10 and hold out my hand and keep it steady, but I think the thing that was really impressive was that I didn't turn into a fucking monster. And
Yeah, stuff like that.
I
She might be a little more aggressive than the original Ellie, but stuff
yeah,
like that I love.
yeah. I thought that she delivered that line so well.
Another thing I'll give them credit for with Ellie on the show is I feel like there's going to be that temptation to just make her be like closed off and just angry and stuff like that. But she's not. Like when they get inside that hotel lobby and she wants to go look at stuff and she's doing the
Yeah.
deer and all that. That's stuff that's like, that's the kind of stuff that remember, Ellie was excited just to be outside the walls for the first time. She was
Yeah.
just amazed to be outside. Like she's like, look at that view. And Joel's like, that shithole? Are you serious? But she's never seen stuff like that before. So I feel
Right.
like they are keeping the spirit of Ellie
Yeah.
intact for sure.
Yeah, I really liked that scene where she's like ringing the bell and she like goes and plays with the
I know what the
that
capital of
cart.
Michigan is.
Yeah. Or
Thought you
like
went to school. Yeah, that's good banter. Good banter.
or like you're a weird kid. You're a weird kid. It just seems like one of those random pieces of dialogue that you would have heard while they're traveling in the game. I really like that. I really liked the scene of them in the hallway while they're waiting for Tess. Like
Yeah.
Tess goes out the hole to like come around.
So
And
where are you from? Yeah.
yeah, just like this really awkward awkward banter. And yeah, like, you know where Michigan is? I do go to school, like, and then what was the other one? He says something else and she's like, it's a shitty school.
Like, I thought
Yeah.
you went to school. Well, it's a shitty school.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was just a great scene. Like, I think that they have pretty good chemistry already. I hope it gets better, but I think that so far I feel like they have pretty good
Well, you gotta
chemistry.
remember, it's not till about the halfway point in the game until he actually like calls her baby girl or something, and it's like
Yeah,
you can. It's the first one you can tell he actually cares. So I mean, he is
right.
still pretty cold to her up
Yeah.
until that moment he gives her the rifle. I think in the game, that's where like their relationship changes. But up before that, he's pretty cold.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure like the banter will get better in that way. I just meant like the way that they I guess maybe I don't know the terminology for it, but just kind of the way they are together in a scene, like whatever their disposition is towards each other. I feel like I don't know. I shouldn't even complain. So far it's good. I feel like
Right.
it could be better,
Right,
but
but it's good. It's good when
yeah.
we're looking for something to complain about,
Yeah,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah. These are good
Yeah,
problems.
for sure. It's a nice problem to have. The museum scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
So good.
dude, this was so intense.
Like when they walked in there, I was like, "Oh my god, I know this part from the game." Because I remember in the game, I was like, "Dude, there's like that sword in the case. I want to take that sword out and start hacking up runners with it."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not remember this game or this scene from the game. Matter of fact, I thought that this was where Tess died, but oh my god, dude, this whole bit in the show was so intense, and it was one of those moments where I'm watching it play out, and as they're having to be quiet, I'm literally finding myself
Yeah.
being like, "Shh," like just so nervous and watching it. It was so,
Yeah, the tension
uh,
very well done. Like I said,
yeah.
if you can watch it on surround sound or headphones, do it. As it was really, really cool the
Oh,
way they did the sound effects. And they
I
apparently that they got fans to play the clickers, fans that really knew the movements of the clickers and stuff. That's like who does this?
right.
So they're really, really treating this with care. And that's
Yeah.
impressive. It shows it can be done, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I thought the movements of like the clickers and everything was really good. It looked really familiar. They felt like a clicker. I think they did a great job. But yeah, so this is the one you're talking about. We get to outside the museum and is it everything you hoped for? Jury's still out, but man, you can't deny
And
that
that
view.
view. Yeah.
And that's a direct quote from the giraffe scene. And I really like I cannot imagine a world where they get rid of the giraffe scene. Like I really can't, but hearing that quote made me a little nervous. I was like, "Oh, I was like, I hope they still keep the giraffe scene and she has that moment of like, this big open space with all these giraffes and everything." So I hope we get that. I can't imagine, doing this TV show and not getting that scene because that's pretty beloved. And then my notes here are just, oh my god. This is where we get the swarms of infected coming after Tess,
Hmm.
and you see one of them get up and two and three, and just it's just this whole group of them, and they're all swarming in, and I was on the edge of my seat.
If you were ever a smoker and you use a Zippo lighter, you know how frustrating they can be sometimes. So
Mhm. Yeah, dude,
I
I
got
bet.
that.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Much
such
more
an
dramatic than the game did it, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was good. And like even the clicker is getting right up in her face and they start like making out, which I thought was weird. And then she finally gets the lighter to click through. And oh my god, what I mean, she had grenades, she had gasoline, she had all
What
this
my wife
stuff.
was yelling when the lighter wouldn't work, she was like, "Pick up one of the grenades and pull the pin."
That's that's exactly what I was saying. I
I
was
tell my
like,
wife, I said, "Wow, you're real smart when you're safe here on your sofa, not not out there with them, you're real smart here."
yeah, yeah, not armchair quarterbacking it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the one thing I thought of, like, as a gamer was they get in there and there's, like, this whole, like, equipment stash. She's using an AK-47 to, like, open boxes and stuff, and I'm like, "Guys, take some weapons with you," like
My wife was yelling, "If she's staying behind, why didn't she give them her backpack and her gun?"
Right, I know,
Like, we
yeah.
can't make it too easy for them. Come on now.
Yeah, yeah, and then we just get this final shot of Ellie standing in front of the burning building looking at the camera, and she's just like taking a moment to like come to grips with everything that just happened. I thought that was just a
I think that
fantastic shot.
besides Marlene, Tess is probably like the first person who's been like somewhat nice to her. So I
Right.
think she was like, okay, I feel safe with Tess. Joel feels like a little bit more of a loose cannon. Oh no, I'm just stuck with the loose cannon now. He wants to shoot me. Oh
Right.
boy. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then my last note I have here is holy shit, Nick Offerman is in the next
I don't know how I
episode.
feel about this. I mean,
I
look, I
know.
I love Parks and Recreation. Ron Swanson is an icon. I love him.
Yeah.
That's basically my inner persona is Ron Swanson. I just can't be that mean to people. But basically, that's my spirit animal. So I love it. Problem I have with him in any other role is I can't unsee Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
And I think it was that movie, The Founder. I thought he was really good, but he didn't have the mustache, so that helped a little bit. But
Okay.
he's still got that same voice, you know? And
Right.
so him playing Bill the whole time, all I'm going to hear is Ron Swanson. So
I know.
I'm sure he'll be great because I've
Yeah.
never seen him in anything be like, oh yeah, he really brought it down. So that's a me thing. That's a me
Sure.
thing. But I'm not mad about it, you know.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, even seeing him in that clip, I couldn't get Ron
The
Swanson out of my
preview
head.
looked really cool because you're going to get to see more about Frank. You know, in the
Right.
game, all you see is Frank hanging from a rope. You know, when you find that letter. So the fact we're actually
Oh,
going to get to see how they got to this position, why he apparently hated Bill's guts. You know, we get to see now. So that's again expansion. I'm all for that. And if you remember, Joel's like, this guy owes me a favor. And apparently
right.
we're going to get to see why he owes Joel that favor. So it's almost
Nice.
like in that Lost way. You can do the flashback each episode
Yeah.
and show why we're going to where we're going, what the background is. I love that. It's
Yeah.
great storytelling technique.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the next episode, man. Let's go into our final thoughts. Speaking of the next episode,
I know what I want to see.
I'm gonna mention real quick. I put a note in here for myself how often I'll do these reviews. I think I'm gonna do them every 2 episodes. I think that would probably be like 1 and 2 and 3 and
Smart.
4. And do you know how many episodes there's supposed to be in the
I think
season?
8,
Oh, okay, perfect.
either 8 or 9. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And some people said they're going to do the whole game. Some people said they're not going to do the whole first game. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I'd be surprised if they got to winter with the pace that they're going. You know, they have
Yeah.
the seasons in the game. I'd be surprised if they get to winter. I think that'd actually be a good place to stop right after Henry and Sam would be a great place to stop, I think, for sure. But we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
And
see.
then just continue it in season
And
2.
two.
And was winter like the halfway point of the game about?
Pretty much. It's after Joel gets I might be a little further. Honestly, it's after they find the college and Joel gets the rebarb through them, and it's just
Oh,
Ellie and she encounters the cannibal people. I can't think of that guy's name.
okay. All right. Well, last thing I have here is how are you feeling about the rest of the show? What are some of your final thoughts here? Things that you can't wait to see?
I mean, they got me excited now, you know, because I
Hmm.
went into it not expecting to like it. I went
Yep.
into it thinking it's just going to be another letdown, another adaptation that just like they had the opportunity like they did with The Witcher, and the opportunity they had like with Wheel of Time, and they just said no, we're going to do our own thing, and then they just screw it up. And it's like you're not a better writer than these people are.
Right.
So I'm actually rather impressed, and now it's got my expectations very high. And I think about my favorite action scene from the entire game, which would happen in the next episode,
Oh.
where Joel steps into one of Bill's traps and he's upside down. You've got to shoot everybody while you're hanging upside down.
Mm.
I want that scene.
Yeah.
You know, when they get the beheading with the machete and stuff. I want to see this stuff. So now
Yeah.
they've got to the point where I'm like, look, I love all the extra stuff you give me, but you better give me all those iconic moments that I love from
Right.
the game. You know, that's what I'm hoping to see. So if I see that next episode, I will be quite the happy camper.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm extremely hopeful for the show. Of course, we all know that it can go sideways at any point. But as of right now, I am very, very pleasantly surprised. I mentioned on Twitter earlier that as I was finishing up the second episode today, I was like almost on the verge of like tearing up. I was like, I can't believe they like did it faithfully. Like I've been through so many shows in the
Right.
past year or two where they just screw it up and they keep not doing it like all the and then you have all the Resident Evil films which aren't even anything like the games and it's so
Has anything
nice.
had more retries than Resident Evil and has
I
never
know.
gotten close once?
I know. Like just do it properly. My god. But yeah, it's really nice to see how faithful they've been with this. And then in the after show, I only saw the after show for the second episode, but I thought it was just really cool. Like, it seems like they really do love the games, and Neil Druckmann is directly involved.
Mm.
So I think that that is a major win. So the cynical side in me has been quieted for now,
Oh,
and
mine's still there. I'm not gonna lie. Look, when I told my friends that we have like a group text about this, as I said, look, I still expect it to go south eventually. I do, but until there's something to complain about, I'm not going to complain about something that isn't there.
right.
So they've got my trust at this point. But that there's that little voice is still saying, they're going to do what they always do, though. They're going to eventually take a path and say, well, we think that we can do it this way, and then they'll start talking about, oh, well, it's a different reality. It's an Earth 2. It's a different spinning of the wheel. Something.
Right.
So I don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
trying not to be like that this time.
Right. Well, I'm super excited for this show. Really looking forward to the next one. I was grinning through like this whole thing, but yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for hopping on like
My pleasure,
super
man.
last minute. Like, I just kind of commented on one of your things. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this review in a little bit if you want to pop on. So thanks for taking some time and just kind of hanging out with me, man.
No, my pleasure. All I did was like a instant reaction shorts or kind of on YouTube is what I'm
Mhm.
kind of doing for it. I'm like, man, what can you talk about in 60 seconds I couldn't dare talk about anything for
It's hard.
60 seconds, but I was like, it's like, I don't think I have the audience is interested enough to hear me talk about this for, an hour by myself, but I could do it. So no,
Yeah.
this is therapeutic to me being able to get this stuff out. I do appreciate the invite.
For sure, yeah, you're welcome to join me for each of these if you wanted to. So yeah, again, thank you for coming on. I really
My
appreciate that.
pleasure, man. Anytime.
All right, well, that is going to wrap us up there, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us while we talk about The Last of Us episodes 1 and 2. Be sure to check out both of Mike's channels. He has a main channel for books and fantasy related topics, and a second channel for stuff like this as well. I'll link both down in the description. Be sure to put your clicker on the like and subscribe buttons down below, and join me next time for episodes 3 and 4 of The Last of Us. Until next time, I'm going to follow Tess's example and find my own clicker to make out with. Results will surely vary. Goodbye.
That was strong.
I know.